Coming up on First at 4, the state's highest court debates the abortion issue in Frankfort. And AAA predicts more than 50 million people will be traveling for Thanksgiving.
Plus, quite a bit of chilly air on the way as we head into the rest of the week. The latest coming up as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Abortion access was argued before the state's highest court today. It follows a ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court and laws recently passed banning or restricting abortion. WINT's Phil Pendleton has more on what was debated inside the state capitol with protesters gathered outside.
A 2019 state law bans most abortions unless they are ruled medically necessary. It took effect when the U.S. Supreme Court decided to hand the abortion decisions back to the states. Abortion providers filed a lawsuit. The Attorney General has defended that ban, and today the arguments went before Kentucky Supreme Court justices. Abortion rights protesters were on one side of the state capitol as the Supreme Court justices were hearing arguments on if the right to abortion was protected by the state constitution. It's been a legal back and forth since the U.S. Supreme Court handed the abortion question back to the states, and a Kentucky law banning most abortions went into effect.
That 150 years ago, our highest court said that regulating abortion is for the General Assembly. Listen, the question of abortion is hard. It's one that requires balancing competing objectives.
I think the justices understand what's at issue here, which is that real Kentuckians are being harmed by these bans in place.
There is no timetable on when justices will issue their decision. It was also stated today that Kentucky lawmakers could always come back and decide to revise their abortion access laws. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
So most abortions are still banned in Kentucky while the issue is considered by the Supreme Court. With wintry weather not far off, we could see some messy conditions out on the roadways, and that's why it's important to be prepared ahead of time. When you're going out, it's imperative to pack things in the event of being stuck or stranded. It's always a good idea to have things such as a heavy coat, gloves, boots, and a hat to keep you warm. It's also critical to keep your cell phone charged.
Bring along your cell phone and that you have your charger with you so that you can call for assistance.
Hawkins also says to check the parts on your car, such as brakes and windshield wipers, and to even have an emergency kit to prevent any possible issues in the future.
Well, we don't have a ton of wintry weather on the way, but it certainly will feel like winter over the next few days, with temperatures in some cases not getting out of the 30s for daytime highs. Here we are right now, low 40s, and a rather dreary picture from many of our cameras throughout the region. Mountain Parkway at Slade. Again, we see obviously the work still being done there, but it is an overcast, dreary day. There's a look from atop Buffalo Mountain here in Perry County, also 43 degrees there. That's a popular number. Low to mid 40s throughout the region as we continue to watch calm conditions work back into the region. The last of our showers continue to diminish and work on the east into portions of Pike County, Logan and Mingo counties, and even into parts of southwest Virginia. But pretty soon we'll be done with those rain chances, and look out to the west. Dry skies are on the way back as we head into the next couple of days. But look, as we head through tonight, clouds and plenty of them down into the 40s as we run through tonight. A brief uptick in the temperatures before we drop like a rock into the overnight. Details on when we could see lows back in the 20s. That's in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Thanksgiving is a little more than 1 week away. AAA predicts almost 55 million people will travel for the holiday, which would make it the third busiest Thanksgiving travel season in the past 20 years. But with inflation and the increasing cost of airfare, some people are staying home. CBS's Chris Van Cleve reports.
You want some cucumbers?
Normally, Sharon Herreri would be getting ready for the annual Thanksgiving family fly-in. Nearly 24 relatives meeting somewhere in the country to celebrate the holiday together.
Flights are too expensive.
But this year, surging airfare prompted Herreri to postpone her trip.
It's sad that I'm not going to be, with
my sisters and my brother and my mom, and they'll all be together. I am going to miss everybody.
Still, AAA expects nearly 55 million people will travel this Thanksgiving. That's up 1.5% from last year and nearly back to pre-pandemic levels. The vast majority will drive. But air travel is forecasted to jump nearly 8%. And with cruise lines back in business, AAA predicts cruise, bus, and train travel will jump 23% over last year.
The desire for people to get back together with loved ones, they're going to do it no matter what the cost. They're going to budget in other areas of their life, but travel doesn't appear to be one of them.
Gas prices are about 36 cents a gallon higher than a year ago. That's up about 10%. According to NerdWallet, car rentals are a bit cheaper than last year, but have climbed 47% since October 2019. And hotels are up 6% from last October. Airfare last month rose 3.5% over September and was up 43% compared to last October. Several airports across the country have warned they may run out of open parking spaces, so are encouraging people to book their parking spaces ahead of time. The busiest day to drive expected to be Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport, Virginia.
Coming up on First at 4, there's a new addition to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. We'll take a look at the outdoor show that's lighting up the city.
And yet more cold air lingers throughout the mountains this week. The details on when we finally get a return to some sunshine to go with it in a few.